Hey, this is Blaine with Stocks for Beer Trading, and we're looking at stocks for August the 17th. Let's take a look here at BLDR. Watching for the 4 break. Been consolidating just below this here. Tested it earlier this month and tested it again today. If it can get through 4 tomorrow and hold, it could have another 5 or 10% in it. Forest Oil FST mentioned this thing in the chat room and on Twitter today. I like this move over about 770. If we can get through 770, it should get a quick pop to at least 8. And then you can see there's going to be some resistance here. It kind of traded pretty awkwardly between 8 and 880. So nonetheless, definitely quick trade potential there towards 8. And then if it gets through 8, it might even go a little higher towards 830 or 840. TTWO update here. Mentioned this thing last night's video that if it get through this little short-term downtrend, it should pop. Did exactly as expected. Closed right on that target price there, 980. Now watching to get through 10. Again, it tested it today, pulled back a little bit. So now if it needs follow through over the 10 spot, if it gets through 10, it definitely has room to probably 1075, 11 range there. GFA, I've been covering this for the past couple of weeks over the 3 break, and now watching for more follow through over 360. Definitely has room back towards 4 before another potential pullback there. COCO, I put a little trigger on this to tell me if it hits 240. It's been known to pop pretty heavily when volume comes in, so obviously it needs that kind of volume. Several million shares and over 240. I'm not saying I'm going to play this thing, but I'll put a trigger on it just to alert myself if it does hit 240, and I'll talk about this more in chat. AVL, watch for the 180 break. Has room to 2 or 220 if it can get some legs. I put a little trigger on CALX also for over 550. Has a gap down to fill from July. Here we got a gap to fill. If it can get over 550, you might see a quick pop out of this thing. That resistance level there is going to be about 650. Not saying it goes all the way there in one day, but nonetheless it has room to the upside if it can get through that 550 area. ONTY is trying to break the 1 month range here over this 460 area. If you scroll back out here to the daily chart, I'll pull up I'll go back to the 6 month view here. So if you can kind of see that over this 460 area was pretty key, and even this 5 area is going to be key. But obviously the first test here will be to see if it can get a push towards that 5, and then through the 5 towards this 550. And then who knows, maybe in a couple days or weeks we'll be talking about this thing getting over 550 to work on this gap fill towards 8. Obviously this is a pretty nice setup here if it can get through these range breaks. SWC, I'm watching the 10 spot here for follow through to see if it can get another push over 10. Probably just a quick day trade if it goes. Sears Holdings, if it can get over this resistance line it's approaching here on the daily chart, could start heading higher back towards those March highs. This is definitely more of a swing trade if it can break through that resistance and hold. Nice double bottom here. Basically what I like to see on these double bottom patterns is that it gets through this peak. If it can bust through these two highs, it should be able to get moving again. XRA, trying to come out of a long-term downtrend here. Probably just looking at this thing as a day trade over 175 towards 2, and then we'll reevaluate what it does after that. If it can set up to get back through 2 and head towards 240, then it might be worth swinging over the previous lows here back in December and the little support area here that it traded between. Anyway, I'll talk about this more as it sets up. For now, I'm just looking for over this previous spike here in August, and then look for it to head towards 2. And finally, VLNX, the OTC major pump alert this morning, being promoted heavily by several groups with ties to the awesome penny stocks email list, and actually their new premium service alerted it, according to people on Twitter, alerted it at 9:43 a.m. We actually caught it in chat about 9:35, right as the volume started hitting heavily, and as you can see, it was well in the teens at that point in time. And we pretty much alerted this thing right here as volume started kicking in and pushed through. We bought this dip, sold some here, and then sold some over here again as it started to break down there towards the end of the day. Obviously tomorrow, if this 30 can hold, it might bounce. Otherwise, look for a washout, possibly 5 or 10 cents washout there to look for that bounce play back towards the 30 spot, and then we'll see what it does from there. I probably won't necessarily be covering in this all day like I did today. So if you're gonna play this thing, just keep that in mind and ask questions about it if you're worried about it, or if something changes in the level 2 funny or anything goes wacky. Like today was kind of weird. They supported it at times and then sold off at times and then supported it again later, and then towards the end of the day they didn't. They just let it trade out pretty much. So yeah, it's a weird one. I'm not sure what their plan is with it. Obviously volume was huge this morning and then it tapered off throughout the end of the day. So the ideal play here is a washout and then a bounce play. We'll see if we get it or not. But there's your watch list for August 17th. Let me know if you guys have any questions.